Hello, brother. I love Vampire Diaries. All these obsessions coming out. I don't think I've actually confessed that yet. This is my favorite TV series of all time. I literally loved it. Every single second. Why? Elena. I am such a Team Damon fan, it literally hurts me. From the moment he was introduced, I was like, this is the one. So what we're gonna talk about today is I have seen all of Vampire Diaries and I was interested in what the book had to offer. Just some backstory. This was published in 1991. L.J. Smith published a trilogy right off the bat. 1991, I think 2 in 1991, and the third one in 1992. So just bam, bam, bam. A lot of people say Stephanie Meyer got her inspo from L.J. Smith. I was kind of thinking like, oh, I wonder like the parallels here. I was expecting like a pretty good book. Now, let me tell you, this is nothing like the TV show. Absolutely nothing. So I'm gonna break down the whole book for you. This book was addicting, but let me be honest, it's a bad book. It is not well written. It is like horrible motives, and Elena sucks. Now, I have heard a lot of people who have read the series say that Elena and Katherine kind of switch personalities. Like, Elena's kind of the selfish, confident one, and then Katherine is the sweet, down-to-earth one. Which, I would say, coming from the first book, I can totally see that. Elena gets what she wants. Let's just say that. The book I'm holding right now is The Awakening and The Struggle. The Awakening is the first book and The Struggle is the second. I have only read the first. Probably only that much. So we're just talking about The Awakening. Book number 1. Oh, I'm a liar. The first trilogy, the first 3 are published all in 1991. That's insane. She really pumped those out. Oh, it's not even a trilogy. There's actually books 1 through 4 that L.J. Smith published. The Awakening and The Struggle, The Fury, and Dark Reunion. And then there's the Return trilogy. And then there's the Hunters trilogy. And then the Salvation trilogy. I think I'm confused. How many books are there? Holy crap. There is 4 trilogies, so there's 13 books total. Let me know if you guys want like a full rundown of all those books because I would love to literally talk about it because I'm interested to see how the whole series ends, especially while the TV show is going. So on the back it says, a deadly love triangle. Elena, the golden girl, the leader, the one who can have any boy she wants. Stefan, brooding and mysterious. He seems to be the only one who can resist Elena, even as he struggles to protect her from the horrors that haunt his past. Damon, sexy, dangerous, and driven by the urge for revenge against Stefan, the brother who betrayed him. Determined to have Elena, he'd kill to possess her. Collected here in one volume for the first time, volumes 1 and 2. Okay. So, that's Vampire Diaries. I took a chance on this novel because I said, you know what? I would read anything that has Elena in it. It was interesting. Let's just say that. So many differences. There's a lot of differences. So, Elena Gilbert, blue eyes, blonde. Stefan Salvatore and Damon Salvatore have accents because they are from Italy. Damon has like raven dark hair, so I would say Damon's pretty close, but Stefan has curly dark hair and olive skin. Bonnie has red straight hair. Bonnie is also kind of witchy, like she kind of alludes to that, and that will come out later. Meredith. Meredith is this third best friend of Elena who is not even mentioned, unless we're talking about the doctor, which is not related at all. I would say Bonnie in the book is Caroline in the show. Like Bonnie's the, oh my gosh, girly, I don't know anything. Meredith is the intelligent and logical one. So I would say she's kind of like Bonnie in the TV show. Caroline isn't really in this book that much. The only time Caroline's really in this book is when she really tries to date Stefan and she kind of hoards Stefan to herself and doesn't talk to Elena because she's hurt because Elena eventually dates him. And so they kind of break up. So Caroline's really not in this. There is no Jeremy. Elena has a little sister who's like 5 or 6 and her name is Margaret. Little sister, no Jeremy, which I kind of missed him, as annoying as he is. Stefan still drives a car, but I think it's a different model. Elena is a brat. Literally right off the bat, first chapter, she's like, boys are like dogs, as convenient as you want them to be. Just come as they may, and then you can get rid of them. They're disposable. I'm like, what? Elena keeps a journal, so does Stefan. That's why it's called like the Vampire Diaries, so kind of similar. Matt was honestly my favorite character. Possibly because he was the most realistic. Matt and Vicky are not siblings, so Matt is kind of just there. Tyler and Vicky aren't dating, just friends. Vicky's like getting with his best friend, and then Tyler's honestly a jerk, just like in the show. So like right off the bat, she breaks up with Matt in the beginning. Her parents have been gone for a few years. So it's been several years. Like her little sister doesn't even remember her parents. It's not like it has just recently happened like in the show. She comes back from a trip to London, I think, or something. And she's like, oh, I almost expect my parents to be there, but they've been gone for a long time, right? But she's like, yeah, I'll go back to school. I'm Miss Popular. I'll have a great time. I just don't love Matt, so I'm gonna break up with him. She breaks up with him. Matt takes it very well. He's like, okay, I understand, Elena. It's okay. I'm always here for you. Who does that? He's a great guy, but he's honestly hurt because he really likes Elena. Don't know why. So Bonnie talks about how she's the descendants of the Druids and she's psychic. So she kind of talks about that, but imagine like she's kind of like Caroline, like, I'm a psychic, instead of like, I'm a witch. Do you know what I mean? This car comes in and it's Stefan, and Elena's like, who is this man? I will have him. And she literally says, this is so toxic of Elena, she's literally insane. She'd have him even if it killed her. If it killed both of them, she'd have him. Hello? She hasn't even met the man. She's fully just like wanting him because of his physical physique. So Salvatore, I listened to the audiobook, so they have accents. Both the brothers have accents. Basically, she's obsessed with Stefan. She convinces this girl who's less popular than her to get Stefan's schedule, and she realizes they have a class together, so she gets there, and after class, she's like, hi, Stefan, I'm Elena. I'm part of the welcoming committee, and I'd like to give you a tour around the school, which is totally not even a thing. And he's like, no, thank you. Elena's like heartbroken. She's like, I've never had a guy deny me, and she goes and cries at home. So she's so embarrassed. Okay, everyone who just saw me get rejected by Stefan, which nobody did, but she's like, I'm gonna spread fake rumors that I have this other boyfriend so people know that I'm not in love with Stefan. Maybe he'll get jealous and maybe he'll try to date me. So his name is John Claude, and they just get a picture of like Bonnie's uncle or something, who's like, I guess really attractive and older, and everyone's like, oh my gosh. And Matt's like, Elena, is this real? And she's like, no, Matt, it's not real, but Matt, can you help me? Make Stefan come to homecoming. You've got him under your wing. You've got him in the football team. You're the only one that he talks to. Make him come to homecoming. And I love Matt so much for this because he literally looks at Elena and he says, Elena, the world doesn't revolve around you. Like, I'll do this for you, but come on, like, seriously, this is pathetic. You know, Elena's like, okay, yeah, I kind of totally get what you're saying. I'm sorry. Matt's like, okay, I'll do this for you, but like, no more. And I love that. So this is another side note. Bonnie actually likes Matt. She was like, okay, Elena, now that you're not with Matt, can I get with Matt? I'm like, what? Wait, doesn't that happen in the show with like Caroline? Doesn't Caroline and Matt date? Guys, I need to rewatch it. So Elena was seriously like, okay, I'll go to homecoming and I'm the homecoming queen, and there's no way he can deny the homecoming queen. So she goes up to him to kind of talk to him and hopefully dance with him at the dance. And Caroline like wraps around his arm and she's like, oh my gosh, what? I'm so embarrassed. Fine, I'll leave with Tyler. So she leaves with Tyler. This is so bad. Mind you, at this point, there has been some attacks around Fells Church. I think that's what it's called, Fells Church. It's not Mystic Falls. Her and Meredith and Bonnie at one point, before they kind of make up the fake boyfriend, and Elena's like, please help me get Stefan, and they all agree, okay, we'll help you get Stefan. They have this like weird feeling at the graveyard. They were like there as she was visiting her parents, and they're like, come on, Elena, don't get sad over a boy. And like weird fog comes and Bonnie like kind of gets possessed, I think relating to her witch inheritance. Right as that happened, there had been an attack underneath the bridge where a man's throat had been ripped out by an animal. Or himself. And Elena's like, it can't be himself. No one can bite themselves in the neck. After prom, Elena's really upset, so she leaves. So she leaves with Tyler, Vicky, and Tyler's friend Dick, and who is kind of quite some of the word. Vicky and Dick get it on like the little graveyard. They are fine. They're just left alone. And Tyler's like, come on, Elena, come over here and visit my grandfather's headstone. And he's like, no, can you take me home? She's getting like weird vibes. Tyler literally tries to rape her. Maybe not that intense, but Tyler tries to like get her, tramples her, and tries to like make out and kiss her neck and stuff. And she's like, please help, get off me. Stefan comes, rips Tyler off, and starts shaking him violently and throwing him against a headstone. And like Tyler becomes unconscious and very hurt, to the point where he's so violent that Elena says, Stefan, please stop. You know, Stefan comes to his senses, gives her his jacket. Let me take you home. All of a sudden, she's at his boarding house with him, and she's confused because she's like, Stefan, why did you save me? You hate me. I don't know why she thinks he hates her, but whatever. So also something different, it's Tyler Smallwood and Vicky Bennett. So instead of Bonnie Bennett, it's Vicky Bennett. I don't know Bonnie's last name. Oh, so yeah, Elena's a whole-on pick-me. And she's like, why do you have these walls up, Stefan? Why do you hate me? Why are you pushing me away? I'm like, girlfriend, there's hardly any evidence you have of this. Why are you assuming that he just has emotional damage and baggage from this like one interaction where he didn't want you to tour the school with him? So he talks about Katherine and he's like, you just remind me of someone that I used to really care about. And he kisses her in the boarding house, right? So then it kind of like flashes back to Stefan because it's kind of in his perspective too. It's not first person, it's third person unless they're writing in the journal. Stefan is kind of thinking about how Katherine and him met in the 15th century. So this is less like Regency wartime and this is more medieval. Like when I think back to like the beginning of vampires, like Klaus in the TV show, that is where Katherine and Stefan met. But then Stefan talks about how they fight over Katherine and how they would both turn for her. He's not talking to Elena. Stefan is kind of just reflecting and kind of talking about the story. But I guess like Damon and Stefan both loved Katherine, and at this point they both realize, oh, I thought I was the only one that knew she's a vampire, and then he realizes that Damon also knows, and they both confess their feelings like, Katherine, we turned for you, like we love you, but only one of us is gonna end up with you. So you choose, and you can live your life with them. Right? We'll come back to that. Elena is taken home by Stefan. The police are there because something happened in the graveyard again, like another attack. Vicky was attacked and she doesn't remember anything. She just remembers like it was black and she's like kind of insane. I'm thinking she's turning at this point, although I don't exactly know. I think she has vampire blood in her system, but she's cold as ice and she's acting as if she's possessed. So she goes to Stefan's and she meets Mrs. Flowers, which is the little lady in charge of the boarding house. Stefan and her kiss passionately. Stefan goes somewhere and she finds a scarf that she was wearing like the second day of school that apparently Stefan kept, and it was really creepy, but like Elena's like, oh my gosh, that's so romantic. Okay. And she cries out. It literally says, and she cries out, I love Stefan and one day he will too. They always eat lunch together at school, but she notices that he never eats lunch and she thinks, oh, maybe he's on a diet, you know, football, whatever. We know it's because he's a vampire. Damon is introduced with a smirk. Now the third person is following Damon and he's like, oh, Damon smirks and takes in the city because he's about to wreak havoc, as Damon does, and we love him. So Elena, Meredith, and Bonnie are on the planning committee for the new scary house that they're gonna hold in the school. So they go to the school to kind of scope out and plan out how the scary house is gonna be. The lights go out and Elena feels this chill and she feels like this presence. Bonnie and Meredith go and find the janitor and Elena's there and she's like, who's here? And then she feels movement in the shadows and then she sees this dark figure. Damon has arrived. All black, dark leather jackets, handsome and pale, dark hair, the whole shebang. He's like, I'm sorry to have frightened you. She was kind of upset for him for sneaking in and scaring her for no good reason. She says, were you looking for someone? And he says, oh yes. And walks up and leans in and she almost kisses him. Like this random stranger. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. He says her name and disappears. He's gone. Not only can vampires use like mind compulsion, but they can also read your minds, similar to Stephenie Meyer's Twilight. Damon, like the crow is still in this first book, and if you remember the first episode, the crow crashes through the home of the Salvatore home, and then like Damon raises up, and they never really have the crow there or really again because I think they dropped the idea that vampires can change into different animals or have like an animal. Vampires kind of have more powers in this book, and I think it will kind of go more into the rest of the series. The more like human blood you consume, then you have more powers to go into like stronger elements and possibly animals. Elena is kind of feeling self-conscious about Stefan because he doesn't really open up to her. So Bonnie is like, Elena, my grandma did this and she said it worked. Light a candle at midnight, pull out a chair and say, like, invite your future husband in. And then you'll know if Stefan's the one. Because that's all Elena wanted to know. Like, if we're gonna break up, I just wanna know. If we're gonna last forever, I wanna know. I need to be secure, whatever. And so Elena does this at midnight. She feels kind of dumb, but she's like, okay. At midnight, she lights the candle and then invites her future husband in. It's supposed to be like the ghost appearance or the image reflection of like whoever your future husband is, but Damon arrives in the flesh and he sits down and he can come inside because she says, coming. She's like, this is weird. She goes to leave because she's freaked out, and Damon grabs her hand, kisses her palm. He pulls the shirt away from her neck and his hand behind her head, like he's gonna bite her, right? She's like, no, and I think he like vanishes. I forget what really happened, but he vanishes. She like runs back outside. Bonnie's dog is dead, and Bonnie and Meredith are like, oh my gosh, this is weird. The dog's just dead. And then her diary's missing. See what I'm saying? Like, it's horribly written and it's like really bad storyline, but it's like addicting. Back to Catherine's story. I also love how it plays with Damon's characters, that he says like, Katherine, you choose me or him. And he's like, you choose him and you're gonna miss out because he's, you know, not like me. Like, I can give you more, Katherine. Katherine commits that at midnight she will choose her lover, and she comes to Stefan and she's like, I choose you, pretty much. They exchange blood. The next day, Stefan goes to her room to see what, you know, the next step in their relationship is, and Damon is there. And he's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, what are you doing here? They knock on Catherine's door. She won't pick up. Her maid answers and said, sorry, she hasn't been feeling well. She's been missing, I guess. So they go and try to find her. Katherine had gone out into the sun, taken off her daylight ring, and burned in the sun to her death. And there was a little note saying, I couldn't choose between both of you. I was selfish and wanted both of you, but I can't be that selfish way anymore, so I chose this for me. Stefan and Damon were so upset at each other that they fought, and because they had both exchanged vampire blood, they had vampire blood in their system, and they fought and they sword fought. So medieval, but they killed each other. And they both turned. But because she went to Damon's second, he had the most vampire blood in his system, which isn't similar to TV show, but if you have more vampire blood in your system, as you turn, you are a stronger vampire. So that's why Damon kind of went on his rampage, killed a bunch of people. He's a stronger vampire. And Stefan does feed only on animals in the book. And Stefan and Damon woke up in tombs. That was kind of creepy. They didn't turn until they were buried, which is kind of scary. Oh, and Damon is also a drunk. Just, he does drink a lot. It's kind of weird because I don't know how like transient the humanity switch is. It doesn't really talk about it, but Stefan isn't sure if he's been the one attacking people in the graveyards because it's kind of like foggy. Sometimes he goes like in and out, which is like similar to the TV show, but not really. So yeah, Katherine is actually like a nice person. Like, although she was selfish with the brothers, like she was actually like not a mean person. Like, she just couldn't choose. She loved them both. So I thought that was very different. Fast forward, scary house. Elena wears like an Italian Renaissance dress, which she's trying to like play off of his Italian heritage, but then of course like brings back memories. They are going through the scary house and there is a killer somewhere because Mr. Tanner dies. He is supposed to be like fake dead at like the sacrifice, but his throat is slit and he is dead. And Stefan is gone, nowhere to be seen, so everyone's like, it's the new guy. These killings have only happened ever since Salvatore showed up. Elena's like, no, I have to find him. So she goes and finds him at the boarding house, and he's like crouched in the corner, blood all over his face, bangs, right? The first thing she says is, oh, Stefan. Girl, this man is like a monster. He just turned into this mythical creature that you didn't know existed, and you're just like, oh, he must have felt so alone being this sad creature. What? So he kind of tells her about the whole story of how he's turned, you know, with Katherine. So Stefan doesn't remember attacking Mr. Tanner. So he's like, I don't know who it is. Since Stefan had just told her the whole story with Damon, Elena's like, it was your brother Damon. Like, I know he's here. I've seen him. And Stefan's like, what? But as she's telling him about Damon, she like confesses her love and is like, I love you, Stefan. And I trust you. And he starts to turn into a vampire and she's like, okay. And just kisses him. So they're like making out. And then she literally says, Stefan, it's time. And they exchange blood for no reason. Like, it's so strange. Like, she doesn't even understand, but she literally like leads his head against her neck and it's really creepy. But then Stefan's like, whatever happens, we'll be together. I also love that Stefan and Damon, they still call each other brother. Like, hello, brother. I don't know if hello, brother is actually in there, but they say, you can't have her, brother. They just call each other brother. So Damon and Stefan have this like interaction. And Stefan's like, you get away from her. And Damon says, I want Elena and I will kill you if you stop me. Then Damon fed on him. Oh, I don't remember that, but I guess Damon fed on Stefan. Elena's journal reappears and Elena goes to school and Stefan is nowhere to be found. And so she goes to the cemetery and says the one word that she knows that can bring him, which is Damon! And yeah, she's basically gonna try to find Stefan with the help of Damon. So that's kind of the differences. I don't know if I'll read the rest, but if you want a whole summary of the rest of the series, I'd be more than happy to, because it's really entertaining. I wonder what's gonna happen with her and Damon. I was expecting more of a slow burn because that's how the TV show is, but this is so quick paced and like the romance just happened way too quickly for it to be realistic. And Elena's the worst character and I could not stand her. Basically, that's it. Thanks for watching. Oh, and make sure to like and subscribe.